Good afternoon. Welcome to the Educational Day of Healing and Restoration for grades 9 through 12. I'm Naila Ansari.
And I'm Dallas Taylor. We're honored to be here with everyone in the studio today and those of you watching the stream from your classrooms and homes. We have a lot planned for you in the next 90 minutes or so.
We're going to start off with some remarks from some significant leaders in our community and country who care a lot about you.
Hello, everyone, and to the young leaders with us today, thank you for your incredible courage. After an horrific act of violence and hate, you have shown such unity, resilience, and strength. You understand that the true measure of strength is based not on who you beat down, but who you lift up. And our nation is inspired by you, and we are counting on you. Your ambition and aspiration will help us build a better future for our nation and for the world. So continue to dream big and know that we are with you today and every day. We're so proud of you. Take care.
Welcome to our special 514 program, the Educational Day of Healing and Restoration. The impact of last year's racially motivated mass shooting in Buffalo continues to run deep in our community. Many of us are still hurting, including you, our young people. But we are healing too. I want you to know how important it was for us to include you and your schools in some of the special ways we are honoring the lives taken on that tragic day and how we are moving forward together with hope and optimism. The activities you'll participate in today will help you better manage adversity and stress and help you continue to process your feelings about 514. You, our city's children, are the most important part of our community. Thank you for participating in today's program, and a special thanks to the Buffalo Public Schools, ERIE BOCES, and Buffalo Toronto Public Media for planning this special day.
Thank you, Vice President Harris and Mayor Brown, for those inspirational words. I am proud to be the Buffalo Public Schools Superintendent, Dr. Tanja M. Williams. Amidst the continued hurt and pain, we are gathered as a school community for this critically important educational day of healing and restoration on this first anniversary of this very horrific tragedy. We must not be silent, so today we will be reflecting on how our beloved Tops Market on Jefferson Avenue not only nourishes our physical bodies, but also our community and our city. Together, we will remember, heal, and rebuild our community. We will band together to let this nation know that we are dedicated to teaching love, celebrating diversity, and preparing you all to be the next generation of leaders in the city of good neighbors. That is what Buffalo Love is all about. The activities that you will take part in today will help you to better understand your feelings and express your thoughts about what happened on May 14th last year, and ways that we must continue to find the strength to forge ahead. We will conclude today's program with our high schoolers. This is an opportunity for you to be directly involved in sharing this day of healing and restoration in this very safe space. Thank you for participating in today's special events. Please know that collectively, we in the Buffalo Public Schools community and city are here for you. Thank you.
Joining us is Dr. Donald Grant, the Executive Director of Mindful Training Solutions. Thank you again for being here today. You're with our earlier stream. Now we're here with a new audience, a new group of kids. We're going to be talking about mindfulness. Can you talk a little bit about what mindfulness is?
Yeah, it's great to be here with you all. Got some wonderful students here to have a really great conversation. We're going to dig in. For those of you who don't know, and I know that mindfulness has been really integrated well into the Buffalo public school systems, but for those of you who don't know, mindfulness is this idea that you get to move through your world and not judge yourself, right? You have these thoughts, you have these experiences, and high school years are tough. And many of you place a lot of extra burdens on yourself that you don't need to. And mindfulness practices, they help us walk through the world and see ourselves, and not in a bad way, like, oh, I'm just so wonderful, I'm so great, but we take our flaws and we don't judge them. Because you know, when we judge ourselves, it brings two really dangerous pieces into our world. That's shame and guilt. Shame and guilt stop us from reaching our goals. Now, are there things we want to reflect on and think we can do differently? Of course. But when shame and guilt come into the picture, we're unable to learn those tools to do something different, to reach those goals. Because when you judge yourself, you really lose yourself. And my goal here today is to have a conversation about how we practice mindfulness to not lose ourselves inside of all the madness. We had a great conversation earlier with some elementary school, some middle schoolers, and we talked about this and we did some breathing exercises. But I really want to hear from you all about what it is that you need in this time and space. We're together reflecting on a really, really serious thing that happened in our city. And a lot of people think that kids, young people, scholars, high schoolers don't see it or don't understand it. But what I know for sure is that you understood what just happened last year, and it hurt you and it hit you. I love that the city is doing something great to support you all, but I want to hear from you all. Let's get some reflections as you sit today, 1 year out, and you think about the violence that's plaguing our country, the racism, the sexism, all these things. Let's open it up for discussion and figure out what we can do together that you can take back to your school so that you, your peers, and your teachers can learn. Notice, I said teachers, right? Sometimes we need our young scholars to teach our teachers too, right? And those are some of the things you can bring back. So let's open up the floor. Who wants to start? Right here.
I would say having a moment to breathe, because I know we can be caught up so much in the school day and not take heed of our own mental health.
Yes.
And so I believe students and teachers will benefit from that.
Yeah, taking a moment to breathe. And the one important thing about that is sometimes our world becomes so uncontrollable, but you know one thing you can always usually control? Your breath. That's something that at any time, any moment of any day, you can do that. And so there's some breathing exercises that we'll practice before we're done today, but that breath is critical. And taking a moment to see what you need and be honest about it, right? Sometimes we say, oh, I feel so overwhelmed, and you tell yourself, well, it's not that bad. But sometimes it does feel that way. And you don't want to judge yourself for that. You want to honor your experience, because the last thing we need are a bunch of adults who don't know how to honor their feelings, who don't have emotional intelligence. You guys know what that is? Yeah. Other thoughts. You got the mic, you want to share something?
Yeah, so I was going to say that one of the best things that you can do is understand the way you feel and understand that feelings come and go, and that you want to have a vision for yourself outside of your feelings so that when you're done feeling upset or angry, you still have somewhere that you can go, that you look back and say, even though I felt this way, I achieved something that I'm really, really proud of.
I think we should change seats. You should be facilitating this conversation, brother. That was awesome. And that's exactly what we're looking to hear, is that self-awareness. You're not going to have every answer every time, but if you don't ask the question, you can never get to it. If you don't pay attention to how you experience the world, it never works out. And that's why what you just said was so critically important. Who practices mindfulness? Anybody practice mindfulness? Tell me what you do. What are some of your practices? Gotta get the mic.
School does, actually.
Yeah.
my whole school does. We take like breathers, or we do journaling, or like positive vibes we try to do at our school.
I love
so
it.
yeah.
I love it. Journaling can be really tough. Anybody in here journals? I tell people to journal, but I don't do a good job at it. I recommend it, but I don't do a good job at it. The one thing that I found people talk about journaling is that it is the most special place that they have for themselves, because they get to write down their experiences and feelings, and then they reflect on them later. Sometimes they'll read their journals over again, and they'll reflect on their feelings, and they get to see how far they've grown. I think sometimes we forget to take an opportunity to reflect on how much we've actually grown, how much we've learned about ourselves. You guys are in high school. You're about to be ready to be out in the world as decision makers. This is critical. This is really important, really important. Anybody else journal? Tell me about your journaling. Who said they journal? Yeah, right here. Tell me about your journaling.
Well, I don't journal, I write poems.
Ah, okay.
So, but you can't just write a poem off the rip. You gotta have some feeling towards it. And
that's what makes a poem good.
Throughout the poem, the feeling may change, so you may get a different poem. And then you just sit back and look back at it. You feel better after you got all that stress and stress off you.
What do you think makes you feel better about reading your poem? Like, what we have to sometimes talk about the mechanism that triggers something, right? We say, oh, that just happened. It's like, well, what was the sequence of events that made that happen? So what do you think through your poetry, what do you think makes it make you feel better?
The fact that I'm able to express my feelings to the extent that I did, and you get it out of your system by writing or talking to it. You don't always have somebody to vent to, so you write it out, and usually it comes out very nice, and other people may relate to it, and it makes you feel good about yourself.
And you can also help somebody else out. I know I've read poems and books and things that somebody wrote to help themselves, and it's helped me after I've read it. You said you journal too. Tell me what you journal about. Not what you journal about, but about your journaling experience.
So it's kind of like odd, because I never really, like, back then I was like, for journaling is weird. Like, who just writes? Like, who just sits down and opens up a book and like writes? And I never liked it. Because I had to do it a lot in school, and I was like, this is so annoying. Like, I don't want to do this. Yeah. When it seemed like a task or like a chore, but when you can sit down and just write freely,
free flow, yeah,
it's a lot better. And I think what makes me feel better about it is that it makes me feel like I can just leave everything on that paper. Once I get angry or sad or whatever, and I write it out and I leave it on that paper, once I close the book, it's in that book. And it's not going to follow me through the rest of my day. It's not going to follow me into the next day, the next week. It's just going to stay right there. And it helps me move on from whatever was happening.
I love that. I love that. Things are going to happen in our worlds. One of the things that some people do is we minimize them, or we make them way bigger than they are. When we are able to really sit with those feelings and maybe leave it on the paper, some of you, the dancers, sometimes you leave it on the floor. I hear athletes talk about leaving it on the field, and being able to do that is a really important skill set. People have problems and troubles all the time. I'm looking at all of your faces here, and you move through a world that is dangerous right now. That is dangerous right now. And sometimes you're scared. I know sometimes I get scared. And sometimes it's about acknowledging those fears and being honest about them. I do a lot of work surrounding racism and trauma, and so I'm talking about this stuff all the time. And there are times when I have to go home and just leave it, because sometimes it consumes us. But here's the problem. The things that we see all the time, the dangerous parts of racism and sexism and homophobia, sometimes it's too hard to just leave. And so the other part of this is mindful action, right? And many of you are here today because you have been mindful activists in this work. Sometimes the actual act of combating the nonsense, that can make us feel better too. When I was at City Honors, there was a teacher there named Miss Irene McVeigh, and she began the Martin Luther King Remembrance Day in January. And I remember it had to be around 1990 or something, and she put me in charge of it. I had never felt more confident. I had never felt more powerful than helping facilitate that information such that the entire school got the knowledge we were looking to get to everybody. How do you all help combat some of these negative experiences that we have in the world? What are some things that you're doing in your world, because those things help, and maybe some of your scholars watching this may get some ideas? Yeah.
You have to learn to meditate.
Yeah.
That's a big one, meditate, but don't like meditate in a dark room. What you want to do is meditating in the sun.
Okay.
Like, you know, they say the sun rays is bad for you if you're there too long, but if you just sit in the sun and like focus on your breathing, the world around you, close your eyes. When you're done, you open your eyes will be brighter, you'll feel real lighter.
Yeah. Meditation is critical, it's crucial. So in addition to doing those things for yourself, what are some things you're doing outside of yourself to combat racism and sexism and classism? Yeah.
If I can add to that, like, you all are in high school now, there's a lot of kids looking up to you. So for me, I coach soccer, I coach little kids in soccer, so they're looking up to me as a positive adult figure. So they're looking at you as their role model. So, and you all in this position, they're little people looking at you to be their role models. So think about that as well, like you're what they want to be.
Yeah.
So looking at you, seeing you do the right thing, that's them saying, okay, if I do that, then I can be just like them.
I love it. I love it. So what are some things you guys are doing? Yeah.
So I also coach soccer.
All right.
For kids play, yeah, I coach U12s. So they're kind of at the age where they start to be a little bit more shy and a little bit less confident, because they're really little kids, like they just want to talk and laugh around and joke around. But I always make sure that I am a positive role model for them, that I carry myself with confidence, I speak with authority. When I have something to say, I don't kind of shy away, because I know they're looking at me and they're going to think like, that's who I want to emulate, you know, my coach.
Yeah.
So I always make sure that the way that I act is the way that if they act in the same way, they will be the most successful in their lives.
So that's wonderful. But remember, we want to talk about the mechanisms too. So tell me, what about that makes you feel good?
I like being a leader. I like knowing that I'm making a difference in people's lives. And I like knowing that people look up to me.
Yes.
Because it's one of the few moments where I could feel like I'm in control. Like I can kind of set the tone for how people are.
Yes.
And it feels good to know that I'm making the world a better place in a bit. Like if I can just impact somebody's life in a positive way, that could go a long way for the people around them.
1,000%. You see how when you do something, it feels you too. And so sometimes we talk about mindfulness, we talk about meditation, we talk about all these things, but sometimes we forget that sometimes these external activities give us sometimes what we need. You going to share something that you do?
Oh, sure. Just keeping in mind that no matter what people do to you, you don't always have to do it back to them. You know, not trying to drive out hate with hate. Mm-hmm. It's not gonna work.
Yeah.
So just trying to stay positive in an environment that might not always accept you, and they might not always like you, and they might not always want the best for you. But at the end of the day, you have to want the best for yourself, and maybe even want the best for those people that don't really like you.
Yes.
Because, you know, at the end, like, it's always being a good person is always the right decision.
It's hard. I know you had something and then we'll come right to you.
Oh.
That is, it's very true, and it's difficult to not fight hate with hate. And we want to be honest about that, but we also want to reflect upon the fact that each of us in our own skin, no matter what that skin looks like, is worthy of respect, is worthy of love, in spite of any message that you get from the outside world. Yeah.
One thing that I really like to do to not just make myself feel better, but in hopes to make other people feel better, I guess, is to share my word, like to share my opinions, to make sure that I am heard, you know, because I know I have a lot of different opinions when it comes to all the injustices in America. So I personally like to write as well, so I like to write poetry.
Yeah.
And usually I like to keep my poetry to myself, but as of recently, I like shared a spoken word that I felt really impacted a lot of people. You know, it was I shared it with a lot of people who I didn't think the poem was for, I guess.
Okay.
But I like to share words to people who may not understand, I guess.
Yeah, that's one of my favorite things too, is to help people understand a different pathway than they're doing. In my work, that's one of the major things that I do, is help people understand things that are difficult to understand. One last one about something that you do to help.
So I would say I love being welcoming. No matter what color you are, no matter how you look, I will always say, hey, how are you? How's your day? And that not only makes my day, but it turns their day into a good day. So, yeah.
I love it. I love it. And it goes a long way. A smiling face, a greeting, it goes a long way. Now, we're in some tough times, and what I really want to do for a few minutes is talk about racism and oppression and violence. Our world is in a tough space right now. I want to hear your thoughts and your ideas about how these things are impacting you and what it is that you need. Yeah.
I think the biggest problem now is like approaching these situations, because a lot of people try to shield it, especially from younger individuals, like as young adults, they try to shield this from us, and I don't feel like that's going to do any better.
Yeah.
We have to be uncomfortable to get comfortable. We have to approach these uncomfortable situations and topics to get comfortable talking about them and approaching them.
That is fact on fact on fact. When we think about difficult conversations, one of the things that I used to do when I was a practicing psychologist was I had to help people live inside their anxiety and tolerate it, right? And so when you're able to tolerate your anxiety, you're able to grow in ways that you never knew you could. When I used to work with people who use drugs, these were adults who use drugs, and one of the reasons that some of them would end up going back to drugs is because they had never built the tools to tolerate the anxiety that they experience. Everything we're talking about is anxiety provoking, and it's hard to talk about these things. One of the reasons why adults in your life sometimes try to shield you from these things is because they haven't developed the skill set to be able to talk and learn and listen, because it makes them so uncomfortable, and they haven't tolerated that discomfort yet. You can teach some of the adults in your world by modeling these conversations. What we know now more than any other time in the world is that young people are exposed to lots of information. There's nothing getting past y'all. Y'all got TikTok and Facebook and Instagram and whatever else is out there. You're seeing it. And I think that the adults in our world are doing such a disservice to our young people by not really honoring how intelligent you all really are, by not honoring the things that you can actually hold and help. And I'm hoping that after today, those of you who may not have felt safe or comfortable bringing these things up, you're able to talk to an adult about it. Make them uncomfortable with you, so that you can learn to tolerate that anxiety together, so that you can grow. It's like a muscle that you build. It's like a muscle that you build. Do you all experience racism? Yeah? 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 Everybody, no matter what you look like, is impacted by racism. White people, black people, brown people, everybody is impacted by it. It's a toxin in our world that has a long history. We have an opportunity, though, to really begin dismantling these things. How do we do that, though? What do you all think? How do we dismantle? Yeah, let's hear from you. How do we dismantle some of these crazy systems?
Well, when it comes to systems, it's not really just like so simple to like break down, especially when they're institutions that have been on for like centuries.
Yeah.
And I feel like one of the biggest things is that we're so individual. We don't like come together as a community, especially because with a lot of things that are passed or a lot of things that are like given to us as like, oh, here, can help you, but they don't invite a space where people want to go into those like areas. I feel like we focus so much on our individual selves, we don't really consider everybody as a whole.
Yeah.
Like we're so focused on what affects us, what impacts us. We're not looking at what's going on for other people, and we throw things at other people and then expect them to take on without giving them the space or giving them the feeling that they are welcomed into that.
Ah, so powerful. When we invite voice and choice in for people to be able to tell you what they need, that's such a critical component. When we're able to create a space that says, I'm not just gonna give you what I think you need, I'm gonna hear your voice and understand what it is that you need specifically so that we can be supportive of it. And so when you think about systems and you talk about this individuality, that component, individualism is a real Americentric concept. It's a really American thing, right? Many of us historically come from communities and societies where our ancestors were the opposite of individualists, they were collectivists. That means that it required the entire system to work collaboratively, and we saw the ripple effects on how when one decision happens, how it impacts all these different pieces. In many ways, we've lost that. And one of the goals is to increase our collectivism so that we do see the impact of these things. It's unfortunate that every generation of people of color in America has a tragedy that they have to manage. There hasn't been one generation for one person of color or one marginalized community that hasn't had a thing that they had to pay attention to. When I was a kid, we had this thing happen in Texas where this guy was lynched, and it was like in the 1990s, and it was just debilitating because in my framework, that didn't happen anymore. When we saw that grocery store shooting here in Buffalo, it's debilitating because the thought is that doesn't happen anymore. But guess what, everybody? It's happening. And you all, I don't want to burden you with this, but you all will be responsible for making sure that the next generation doesn't have to live in this same space like this. So let's try a breathing exercise really quickly. I don't know how much more time we have left.
Got a few more minutes.
Okay. You guys want to try a breathing exercise? All right. This is one of my favorites. This is the 4-7-8 breathing exercise, and we did it earlier with the elementary school kids. Make sure you're seated strong in your seat. You can feel your feet on the floor. You can feel your breath. We're going to breathe in for 4 seconds. I'm going to count for you. We're going to hold it for 7, and then you're going to release it over 8. The science behind this is that you are releasing air twice as long as you brought it in, and it re-regulates your neurons. So let's try it. We're going to breathe in 4, hold 7, out 8. Ready? Go. That's a tool that you can take with you wherever you go. You don't need any equipment. You don't need a quiet space. You don't need to get up and leave. My hope is that as you all move through these next few days and you're reflecting on what happened, you're honest and open with yourself about this hurts. It's okay that it hurts. It should hurt. But now what do we do with that pain? We're not victims. We're the epitome of strength. You all have the ability to use your self-awareness, your strength, to create change in the world. I hope that you're able to empower yourselves. All these tools, all these supports, all these adults who love you and care about you. But if you don't love yourself and care about yourself, none of that happens appropriately. Nothing is ever too big for you to hold. And if it feels that way, find a piece of paper to write it down on, find a trusted adult to give it to, connect with some peers and practice that collectivism that you described.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for your courage and sharing. I look forward to what you do in the future. Thank you, Dr. Grant.
Thank you.
We're going to toss it back over to
Thank you, scholars.
Naira.
I appreciate you all today.
That was an incredible healing circle. Thank you so much. I definitely learned some tools that I can use for some healing. Next up, I have a spoken word artist, Joy Perry, and you are from school.
I'm from Performing Arts.
Performing Arts. And can you share a little bit about what you're going to have prepared for us today?
I will be doing Let America Be America Again from Langston Hughes.
Awesome. I'm going to take it over to you.
Okay. Let America be America again. Let it be the dream it used to be. Let it be the pioneer on the plain seeking a home where he himself is free. America was never America to me. Let America be the dream the dreamers dreamed. Let it be that great strong land of love where never kings contrive nor tyrants scheme, that any man be crushed by one above. It was never America to me. Oh, let my land be the land where liberty is crowned with no false patriotic wrath. But opportunity is real and life is free. Equality is in the air we breathe. There's never been equality for me, nor freedom in this homeland of the free. Say, who are you that mumbles in the dark? And who are you that draws your veil across the stars? I am the poor white fooled and pushed apart. I am the Negro bearing slavery scars. I am the red man driven from his land. I am the immigrant clutching the hope I seek and finding the same old stupid plan of dog-eat-dog of might crush the weak. I am that young man full of strength and hope, tangled in that ancient endless chain of profit, power, gain, of grab the land, of grab the gold, of grab the ways of satisfying need, of work the men, of take the pay, of owning everything for one's own greed. I am the farmer, bondsman to the soil. I am the worker, sold to the machine. I am the Negro, servant to you all. I am the people, humble, hungry, mean. Hungry yet, despite the dream. Beaten yet today, oh pioneers. I am the man that never got ahead. The poorest worker bartered for the years, yet I am the one who dreamt our basic dream in an old world while still a serf of kings who dreamt a dream so strong, so brave, so true, that even yet its mighty daring sings in every brick and stone and every furrow turned that has made America the land it has become. Oh, I am the man who sailed those early seas in search of what I meant to be my home. For I have left dark Ireland's shores and Poland's plain and England's grassy lea, and torn from black Africa's strand I came to build the homeland of the free. The free? Who said the free? Not me. Surely not me. The millions on relief today? The millions shot down when we strike? The millions who have nothing for our pay? For all the dreams we dreamed, all the hopes we held, and all the flags we hung, all the songs we sung. The millions who have nothing for our pay except the dream that's almost dead today. Oh, let America be America again, the land that never has been yet. And yet must be the land where every man is free. The land that's mine, the poor man's, Indians, Negroes, me. Who made America, whose sweat and blood, whose faith and pain, whose hand at the foundry, whose plow in the rain, must bring back our mighty dream again. Sure, call me any ugly name you choose. The still of freedom does not stain from those who live like leeches off the people's lives. We must take back our land, America. Oh yes, say it plain. America was never America to me. And yet I swear this oath, America will be out of the rack and ruin of our gangsta death, the rape and rot of graft and stealth and lies. We, the people, must redeem the land, the rivers, the plants, the mimes, the mountains, and the endless plains. All the stretch of our great green states. And make America again. Thank you.
Thank you. That was really powerful. Thank you. I just love Langston Hughes. Thank you, Joy, for such a moving performance. Thank you. For the next 30 minutes or so, I enthusiastically will hand the mic over to Daphne Bell and Nicole Bucilli, and most importantly, some of your fellow students from the Buffalo and Kenton school districts to discuss from their perspectives the impact of tragedy, trauma, and racism on a community.
Thank you so much, Dallas, and I have the honor of introducing our distinguished panel here. So we're beginning with City Honors. From City Honors, Ms. Anaya Morell. From Emerson, Elena Littleton and Jayla Mack. From Hutch Tech, Paul Wilson. From Research Lab, Abijah Johnson and Jamari Shaw. And from Kenmore West, Tylynn Robinson. And my name is Daphne Bell. I am the Director of Culturally and Linguistically Responsive Initiatives, and I'm joined here by Nicole Bucilli, who is the data coach in our office. So the way this panel will run is that we will ask you questions. Nicole will ask you questions, I will ask questions, and we want to hear your voices. We want it to be a student-led panel where you share your thoughts, your feelings, and how this tragedy has impacted you, not only as yourself, but also as a member of the youth in our Buffalo community. So I'm going to just begin with the first general question, and whoever would like to answer, you can just raise your hand and we can pass the microphone, okay? So what are your feelings about the racist massacre at Tops on May 14th? Paul, your hand went up really fast, so I'm going to pass this over to you.
Usually when crazy things like that happen, you always see it online or on TV, or, it never really happens. You never really think that it can happen to your own city, from where you're from, for that to happen at a Tops where I've been in plenty of times and shopped there. So it is just so crazy to me that happened in my own community. It's really hurting. It took time to even go out in public again after the massacre. Going into that Tops, you still get a wary feeling. It still doesn't feel right. Like you feel like you just still have a weird feeling going there. So still, a year has passed and it's still affecting me.
No, I have not gone back into that Tops since. It's just, I'm not ready yet.
Right.
And I know for some people, in our community, they don't have a choice. There's
not many grocery stores nearby.
Exactly,
that is the only place they have.
I'm not ready yet, so I completely understand what you're talking about there. Does anyone else want to share? Anaya, then Jamari.
I would say that the Tops shooting that happened, I just feel like how Paul said, it just felt like it wasn't real. Like, 'cause usually it's like, oh, that would never happen in Buffalo. Buffalo is nothing. Nobody knows where Buffalo is. Everybody talks stuff about Buffalo. But like, it's just when it happens and the shock didn't hit me yet, I was like, oh. Like, first day you're like, oh. But then when I went to school the next day, my school is only like maybe 2 or 3 blocks away from it. It's like, oh my gosh, that just happened like behind my school. Mm-hmm. So it was like a shocker, and then like all the stuff that followed with it, like, oh, they couldn't find him, and then it was like everybody stay inside, and it was like a full like shutdown of the city. It was when the panic really, really set in, and I had to actually be there for everyone else, like aside from my own hurt and my own feelings.
And when you say I had to be there for everyone else, can you just tell me a little bit more about what you mean by that?
I have a younger brother, and he didn't really know what was going on, but like he could feel like how everybody was like really scared, because everybody was just like worried, like, where's Jimmy at? Where's Jimmy at? Where's Jimmy at? Like everybody was just so scared about everything. Like they didn't realize it until it happened, and they were like, oh my God, like what's going on? What's going on? And he was scared. My sister was scared, and my mom was scared. So I'm like, I kind of have to be that person, like, hey, like everything's okay, and I had to calm everyone down, like, again, aside from my own feelings towards everything.
Yeah. Thank you so much for that. I'm going to pass it to Jamari.
As they previously said, that it was, you're scared. Like, I have little siblings too, and you can't keep little kids in the house. They like to run around outside. So it's to the point where I feel like I can't even go outside my house the same anymore. Like, you know, you gotta watch your surroundings because it can happen anywhere. And also I feel like that is bigger than what just happened in Buffalo, because you look on the news. I believe what he said before he went to jail. He just assumed black people was bad because of what he seen on the news. But if you look on the news, there's no black heroes. There's no black heroes anywhere unless they rap or basketball players. So it's like it gives the public this idea that we're just bad people without getting to know us first. So I feel like it's bigger than just shooting. It's more of like a country problem than it is anything.
Wow, that was deep. You know, like, just want to reiterate what you said. You know, our heroes are sports players and rappers, but there's so much more to black people that the general public might not know. They might not understand. So part of this awareness, this day of bringing awareness to the brilliance and excellence in our community. There's young, excellent people in our community that, like yourself, that really can show that there's more than just sports or just music. So thank you for that. Ms. Buccelli, do you want to ask the next question?
Yes, thank you, Daphne. What has been the hardest thing for you because of what happened? I know many of you were talking about your feelings, maybe what was difficult on that day or in the short period afterwards, but even if you want to talk about from where we are right now, what has still been hard?
Definitely, I think for everyone to just expect us to go back for society to go back normal, for us to just feel okay, like for us to just move on, like, oh, it happened, you have to move on. But a lot of people can't move on. Lives were affected. That community will always have that burden on them because of something that they can't control. So definitely just everyone expecting us to just move on and act like it's okay when it's not okay. I think that's definitely been the most difficult part.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Had her hand up too.
For me, I think it's been a very isolating experience. For me, I was at the Buffalo Library at the time, so I heard a lot of the police and the sirens, and I didn't quite understand why until one of the people that were around explained it. And it kind of gets to the point where, like, I'm just, like, tired. And especially for me, being in, like, a predominantly white school, it doesn't make it any better because everyone goes about their day. And maybe some people might post it on social media, but they'll go back to school, and then people might say, like, they'll push things out, be like, here, this opportunity to have your voice heard. But when you're, like, in this space where it's like you kind of are just, like, throwing things at, like I talked about before, where they say, here's an opportunity. It's kind of like, well, we need to build that opportunity to be able to speak. Like, I'm not going to feel comfortable if you just throw an opportunity at me. And with the whole situation, it's just like, it's painful. Communities were broken down, and it's not something where you can just easily build it up. It's like a continuous work. And I feel like so many people see a tragedy and they're like, oh, so bad. And then after the month is over, then it's like back to regular life. And it's like, no, that's not the case. A whole community just been destroyed mentally, physically, emotionally, and it's hard.
Thank you, Tylin, and I can definitely feel that in your response, just the emotions, the challenges, and hopefully this day will help us as a community to not forget and to not have you personally and everyone else feel so isolated. So thank you for raising your voice around that. Anyone else like to respond about?
Thank you, so the hardest thing for me personally has been going in that area. So I go through this program at Johnny B. Wiley, the Omega Gents, and it's right there next to the Tops. And every time I come out, every time I go in, I always just look down there, just in case, because it's a feeling in my heart that I get, like, I was right there, and I don't live too far from the Tops. So when it happened, I heard the gunshots, I heard them, and it was like, that's my community or something big going on. And you know, back to what I was saying about my heart and how I feel when I look down there, it just drops, you know, my heart drops, everything just drops, because it's like, lives got taken that day, you know, and it's like, what could I have done to protect those lives, you know? I kind of get like, wow, that's kind of a burden on me, but it's not a burden on me, you know, that sort of thing.
Thank you, Abijah, for adding to that.
So when you say it's a burden, right? Like to have something that you've carried with you for almost a year now. On Sunday, it will be a year since this massacre occurred. So now we're looking forward to the future. And I want to know, what are your feelings, your hopes, your fears that you have towards the future based on what happened?
I'll start off with my fears. Personally, I fear something like this will happen again, me personally, and because people don't change. People think they want to change, but people don't know how to change. You know, you have to, I wouldn't say forcefully change somebody, but you have to let them know that they need to change or else they're not going to change, you know? But on the positive side, I think the city is definitely more communal, as we were talking about over there. The city is definitely more communal. You can walk down the street and you can have an actual positive conversation with somebody instead of just looks, you know? And I think as a city, we've definitely grown. We've grown from that situation.
A fear of mine going into the future with this is, how are we supposed to tell our kids about this? And even with my younger siblings now, it's a weight, and they see, like, they're very observant. Little kids, they will call you out on anything, pretty much. But that's one of my fears of mine. Like, how am I supposed to tell my kids, well, this happened down the street from where mommy lives at, and I was out that day, and I probably wouldn't be here right now. But I do have hope in what we're doing today, that we're brave enough to speak up how we feel and to be honest with ourselves and together as a whole in a community.
I also work in a grocery store, so after the massacre happened, I took off 2 weeks of work. I didn't feel safe. My mom didn't want me to go out there and feel safe, and still the fear of maybe somebody having a possible feeling of that my life doesn't matter or that I don't deserve to be here over something that I can't control, such as my skin color. Still to this day, you know, I'm very more observant of my surroundings in areas like that. Because, you know, it's a fear that I can simply just be gone, just like those people were, those victims that day. They didn't know that they were going to die that day. They were going to a grocery store, maybe for a run to get some milk or something like that for their cereal. No, nobody expects to die anyway, just out of nowhere. So still to this day, that I feel like I'm very much more observant.
And, you know, I can identify with you on that one because I have the same fears of the future, looking at, you know, there's kids that aren't born yet that are going to look back at this day and just hear about it. They're going to hear, just like many of you heard of the attack on 9/11. A lot of you weren't born, but you heard about it. It will be similar for kids who aren't born. They're going to say, oh, there's the tops right there, and you'll never forget where you were. Right, everyone remembers where you were the moment you heard about what happened and how your initial reactions were. Because I was your age when the attack happened at 9/11. I was in high school, and I never forget where I was. So this is something that's going to change you in the way that you think for the rest of your life. And what's hurtful, I think, more than anything is the intent behind it, that it wasn't just a random shooting. Someone wasn't just angry. They targeted Black people in the heart of the Black community. And for me, as a Black woman, that hurts a lot. Yeah. And I know that all of you seated here, it's hard to know that if I was in that store and Nicole was in that store, I would be dead and Nicole wouldn't. Right. So that, for me, I think is something that it's a hard pill to swallow, right? Yeah. So I think something after this type of experience, we need self-care and healing and peace. So tell me something about what you've done in the last year or so that helps you bring you back to that peace, calm state, not in that sense of panic and hurt. It could be something that you've done or something that you know
Something that
you know
really
of.
that really helped me is when
Mhm.
we went to Puerto Rico. That was a big.
That helped me too.
That was big, you know. You came back, you know, because we was out there and it was just like you felt carefree, and you just felt at peace with yourself. And then when you come back, it just hits you on the face, you know, because you're awakened from that bliss that you're safe because you're back in the town where it's always stuff going down. So yeah, and then on top of that, it's our people is like they're destroying each other from the inside.
So what Jamari is referring to is the Our Story Project. Some of the students that are seated here with me are in the Our Story Project, which is a program in the Buffalo Public Schools. And as part of our culminating trip, we took the students to Puerto Rico last month in April. And I agree with you, that was nice to just escape Buffalo and travel, especially travel in warm weather. Tropical weather does help when you're escaping Buffalo, but it was a great experience to have that with some of you here in this panel.
For me, I think especially like most of us being high school students, mental break days, not going to school certain days are very helpful. I feel like we put so much pressure onto ourselves, especially with the education system, being all about right and wrong and not necessarily about growth and trying to get the highest marks. That can add additional stress, and I feel like going to school every day with a high expectation just kind of kills you slowly. And I feel like we damage ourselves when we don't give ourselves a break, because sometimes when we do give ourselves a break, we're like, oh, I'm missing this, I'm missing that, and then it just screws you all over.
It doesn't end when you go to work either. Does anyone else want to share something that you do for yourself? And it could be you too, Taylor. Don't feel like you can't join our panel.
One thing that I did kind of before and even after the shooting was I have this this journal that I write in like all the time. Like, I don't know, it's kind of weird, but I write in my journal like all the time, every day, like anything that happens, like it's like, oh my God, girl, did you hear about this, and it just helps me relieve everything. Like, I can never be judged about what I'm saying. Like, I can never be judged about how I feel about certain things or how I said certain things, and nobody's like, hey, you shouldn't write this way, or oh no, you forgot to put a comment there. Like, you just like blur everything out. And then you like kind of like sit down and you really think like, okay, this is how I feel, this is how I work towards it, and this is what I can do for it. And while I'm doing that, I'm always listening to Kendrick Lamar. That is how everything just gets out, and that's how I really like get to know like, this is me, I'm grounded, I'm centered, and this is how I can go through the rest of my day and the rest of my life.
I love that.
Just thinking about that, one of the things that I did, because around that time I had just moved out of my home, so I was living alone, and I got a cat. And it was like to have someone there that I could just talk to, and also he just loves me no matter what. That was just a good, especially after that, to have that feeling of someone just always there for you, waiting for you to come home, and just loves you no matter what, as long as the bowl is full, of course.
Aww. Yes, pets definitely are that unconditional friend and love, and they just love their owners. Nicole?
So after listening to some of your responses, I'm thinking about your mentioning about coping with your feelings. A lot of things were things that you do for yourself. They're choices that you make for yourself. And we also want to think about making you feel less isolated. I know that topic came up about you feel isolated. You feel that people have forgotten that they've moved on. So I want to think about our teachers. And Tylin, you mentioned sometimes you just need a break from school, right? You need to take that break away. But what can happen in school when teachers honor what is happening around what's going on, whether it's the Tops Massacre or other current events, your lived experiences? How could that help you to cope? What can teachers do in the school setting, and how do you think that would impact your ability to learn?
I think teachers talking about the topic and not being scared of like offending people in the class about the topic will educate people on their ignorance towards certain groups, or it will bring out, hey, I never thought I realized I looked at it, this way. So, when you kill that ignorance early on, we wouldn't have massacres like this. If he was educated in a younger setting, he wouldn't have went out his way to go and kill a group of people over something they can't control. So education on topics like race and things of that nature is very important. So I definitely think those are topics that need to be held in the classroom.
Yes, I definitely wholeheartedly agree with you, Paul. And just even speaking from a teacher and being a white woman, a white person, I want to take that seat and listen. I want you to be the teachers. Not that you have to teach me the history that I can't learn on my own, but I want to listen to you, and I want you to tell me if I mess up, if I do make a mistake, because that is how things will get better. How I'll grow, how we'll grow together and heal. So thank you for bringing that up.
To
Taylor?
add on to that point, I also think we need more representation in class that's not only trauma. For me, especially like in English classes, when you read books with like the main character being black, the stories typically follow like a very tragic story. And sometimes it gets to the point where it's like, is that all we are? We're only limited to our trauma, to our pain and suffering. We're not shown our heroism, our activism, our excellence. We are just constantly shown like slavery. Oh, we're like our only history is slavery, and from then on, our pain from the segregation, from all that, from the mass shootings to all these harm. It's like, can we do more where we're just not our pain? Show our happiness, show our families, show our success.
Yes, definitely. Show your greatness, your brilliance, the legacy, the greatness that you came from. Thank you, Tylin. Yes.
And I wanted to add on to what they're saying, how they teach us about slavery, but they talk about black history, you think of slavery, you don't think of the stuff before slavery. Like the kings and queens, you know, we come from kings and queens in Egypt, Africa, all that. You don't hear that usually in school. When you think of black history, you think of us breaking free of the shackles of slavery. And I feel like that's a big problem, because that doesn't give kids encouragement. It just makes them sad to think that, oh, we were treated like cattle. And you don't have that idea where you feel like you came from greatness. You know you came from greatness, you're going to want to achieve greatness.
Yes, definitely. And even, I'll put on my hat as being a mom, as a white mom. I think it's really important that all children are learning these. I know you're speaking from your point of view, identifying as black scholars here with us today, but it's important that all children learn about this greatness so that they make better decisions in the future as well. So thank you, Jamari, for bringing that up. Daphne?
Absolutely, and I just want to echo what you said about all children learning, because the media sometimes can depict people with brown skin as criminals. How often is it that you watch the news and you'll see, well, who's the perpetrator in this, and there's a picture, and if you aren't intentional about that, about combating that implicit bias that everyone has, it's our teachers, our students, our children are all going to look at brown people, if they don't know them, as whatever the media depicts them as. So broadcasts such as this one, panels such as this one, just showing the excellence that is in the Buffalo Public Schools, excellence in the Buffalo community, and we've been doing it all day. You know, you're here for the high school portion, but we started out with brilliant kids in first and second grade, hearing about how they're worthy of love, they're worthy of strength, and just all the way up, celebrating the beauty that is our community. And broadcasts like this one and panels like this one give me hope. That gives me hope for the future, that we are growing into a community that is going to be anti-racist, not just not racist, but against racism, and using our voice, using our abilities, using our community service to combat racism that is entrenched in so many systems that we are all a part of. So what gives you hope? This is my next question for the panel. What gives you hope as we grow and go forward? Oh, you got it. Jayla.
I feel like what gives me hope is that we have people in our community finally willing to stand up for what they believe in or what they think shouldn't happen. or try to make a change on the history that was thrown on us.
Definitely. That making a change, making a difference it's so important. It's so crucial for us because status quo is it's not acceptable anymore. So thank you for that. Jamari?
I have hope in this generation, really, because, we're breaking the tradition of our grandparents and stuff, and they starting to actually not talk back, but speak up about their feelings instead of trying to hold it in and just let it affect you later mentally. So I really have hope in our generation because we're breaking the cycle.
Yes.
Who I have hope in? I have hope in the younger generation. What I see, I have a 4-year-old niece. She's about to turn 5. And I mean, she's just a star. She's a wonderful person. She's a wonderful niece. I'm so glad to be her uncle. And what I have hope in the education. She came home one day and she asked me, Uncle Abi, who is King Solomon? And that was a question I looked at her and I was like, what do you know about King Solomon? I mean, he was one of the richest African men of the world. I mean, he was richer, one of the richest persons. And, it was like, wow, they didn't teach us about this when I was in kindergarten, first grade, second grade. No. They taught us about slavery. Back to your point, how we were just animals, slaughtered like animals, moved around like animals, It's just that hope that we can find people to look up to in our history. We don't have to say, oh, just, I want to be the next MLK, you can be like, I want to be the next King Solomon. I want to be the next Mansa Musa,
And, in Buffalo, we don't just talk about it. We are about it. We be about it, We have an emancipation curriculum that is on our website that does just that. For every single grade level, from pre-K all the way until 12th grade, there's lessons that celebrate not only Black people, but Latinx people, our indigenous community, our new Americans. We have lessons that are targeted to uplift the voices of our marginalized population. And it's not just about slavery. Now, do we go into the 1619 Project and bring out some of those truths that were covered intentionally? Yes, we do. But we go way back. We go back to ancient Egypt. We go back to Mansa Musa. We go back to the Ashango bone, which was the first mathematics. So it's important for us to teach kids that, because if you don't see anything, if you don't look at yourself as anything other than a freed, enslaved person, then you're going to continue to have that mindset. But if you look at yourself as someone who is a king, a descendant of a king, descendant of a queen, that is a whole new set of empowerment. I'm not sure how much time we have left. Okay. Because we definitely...
About 5 minutes left.
About 5 minutes? Okay. So I will ask one more question, and then I have a treat for you. One of our scholars is going to give a really powerful closing with a mindfulness moment. So our final question is all about social justice and standing up, being an upstander, using your voice, using your actions. What's one thing that you can do for your community? Whether it's your small community, your school community, Buffalo community, Western New York, what's something that you can do, an action that you can personally take? Jayla, I see your hand up.
For our younger people and our older people to bring our community together, we could have regular days where we come together and we talk about our history or talk about making change in our community and in our school system. Moving things so they're not the same as they used to be in a bad way.
I love that.
Brain hurt. So one thing that I think that we can do better is just being nicer to each other. I mean, we are so mean to each other. We say the rudest, meanest things to each other and then go about our day like it's normal. But the thing is, our community is already divided by oh, she looks weird. Oh, those braids are too weird. Oh, why would she wear her hair like that? Why is she wearing that? I feel like if we all just try and understand each other much, much better, we could fight issues together instead of people being like, oh, well, your community isn't even together. Like, how are you fighting for something that's not even together? Like, the backlash that we get, we could definitely fix by just trying to be together as one instead of trying to divide ourselves into these different categories.
I feel that. Yeah.
I feel like block parties are very essential to this because, I mean, not because
Invite me.
you know, yeah, like, because it's a like your whole street come together. You know, not everybody comes outside because they're busy, and you get to meet new people, and it's when you're at a party, so it's like it's no dividends, it's no people divided out, and also I want to add on to what Naya said, where you stand up together, but also not excluding other people because there's other people that want to fight for the cause, and you telling them that they're not involved or they don't contribute to it. Why are they fighting for it? I feel like that's a big problem with it too.
Mm-hmm.
Another thing I want to say to add on to both of these great points. Right now, Buffalo is really, really united with the massacre, the anniversary of the massacre, the blizzard, but it's really sad that it causes for tragedies to happen for unity to be here. So hopefully for the future, things that I really hope for, that we can be united as a city, as a town, as a nation, without having a tragedy to happen for that to happen.
Wow. Yeah. I mean, out of the voice of young people, right? Voice of babes. I know you don't think you're babies, but then when you get to be my age and I'm like, wait, wow, I remember when I was their age and look at them. They are this is our future here. And I'm so proud of each and every one of you for being here on this panel and being able to use your voice to enact change. So we're going to wrap up this segment with Miss Elena Littleton. She is going to give us a mindfulness session together in which and those of you who are watching the classroom, we are going to encourage you also to participate in this mindfulness session. So take it away, Elena.
My lovely people, would you like to stand up with me? So for this breather, I know the weight of this topic is very heavy, but I feel like if we have confidence in ourselves, we're able to do anything individually and together. So just do a power stance, everybody. Just And for those that's also watching, and if you're comfortable, you can close your eyes. For the ones that got heels, probably not. But you can close your eyes and just take a deep breath in and out, and another, and out. And this last one, whatever pain and frustration and stress is on you, just take it all in and then release it and have your body relax. And this is a healthy breather that I have started doing. And it helps very much just to take a day out of your busy life and just breathe.
Thank you so much, Elena, and thank you all.
That was such a wonderful panel, and I'm learning a lot this entire day. Thank you, everyone who's joined us. We're going to mix it up a bit and welcome 3 talented musicians from the Kenton schools to perform a musical number. We actually have 2, the blue, funk, and clarinet polka. Please welcome our clarinet trio from Kenmore, Tonawanda. It's a true honor to be here today among all of you. This next section is particularly inspiring. I have schools 302, 304, and 366 here with me to read letters from the schools to families of the victims. I have Paul Wilson here with me. Can you tell me a little bit about the project?
Well, yeah, me and two other scholars are here as representation of our school to show our condolences and support to the victims of the massacre.
Awesome. And I'm also going to introduce the next two that will be reading with you as well, which is Elena Littleton and Jamari Shaw. So take it away.
Okay. Good afternoon. My name is Paul Wilson. I'm a junior at Hutch Tech High, a proud Buffalo public school. As we approach the one-year mark of the tragic massacre that happened at the Tops Market on Jefferson, May 14th, 2022, I want to share our deepest condolences for your loss and continued prayers to the survivors of the staff, from the staff, students, and the families of Tech. Although this attack targeted young and old members of the African American community, this essentially was an attack on humanity. It didn't just affect the community around Tops, it affected the entire city of Buffalo. In the midst of such a tragedy, it was wonderful to see the city of Buffalo come together. This gave me hope and restored my faith in humanity and the human spirit. We all saw the strength of the survivors and how the strangers became friends when they reached out and wrapped their arms around the families of the victims in our communities. We will continue to hold up the families and survivors in prayer. This day will be forever etched in our memories and heart. We will never forget. I want to share a story about one of our Tech students named Kataya, who was directly affected by the massacre. She was a senior last year and a cashier at Tops and was working that day. She was on her lunch break during the shooting and remained in her car. She had a difficult time coming back to school. She contacted her teachers to inform them she needed some time before returning, and she was currently seeing a counselor. Eventually, she felt safe and strong enough to return to school. She came back to supportive staff and friends and graduated on time. I'm extremely fortunate to be a student at Hutch Tech, one of the top 1% of diverse schools in New York State. We believe and live out the motto at Tech, one family. Also, hate has no place here. We accept one another for their unique differences, celebrating different cultures, beliefs, traditions, and religions. I believe Tech is a model for how we should all live together in unity. Immediately following the tragedy, the district provided the students, the staff with resources on how to deal with grieving. These resources included lessons on how to counsel others by listening, providing support, making connections, being a role model, and teaching lessons about griefs. Our teachers held restorative circles in their classrooms with us and allowed time for us to share our feelings and thoughts. The class of 1984 presented Hutch Tech with a plaque of honor to Officer Aaron Sauter, who was an alumni of Tech. Officer Aaron Sauter was a security officer on duty that day. He gave his life to save others. During our Black History program, we honored our hero. His plaque is proudly displayed in one of our trophy cases on the second floor in our school. I definitely believe the city of Buffalo should commemorate this day with a permanent fixture of some kind. The lives of those who lost must be remembered for the impact they made on the city and on us. We must not forget the families. They will continue to need our love, support, and prayers for years to come. In the words of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., darkness cannot drive our darkness. Only light can do that. Hate cannot drive our hate. Only love can do that. Thank you for this opportunity to address you all this afternoon.
Hi, yes, my name is Jamari Shaw Jr. I am a junior at Research Lab High School, and we have a written word. Buffalo, we love you. Buffalo, we see you. Buffalo, we hear you're calling for a change. Buffalo, we stand with you to be strong. Buffalo, we will not tolerate hate. Buffalo, we will grow each and every day from this tragedy. To the families who tragically lost a loved one, we wrap our arms around you. We use our words to express our pain for your loss. Through our reflective circles, some share and some listen only, but we all learn. As we shed a tear For each individual loss, we close our eyes knowing that the tears we shed will allow us and allow Buffalo to reflect upon what has been lost. These tears we shed have spurred positive change. We will not tolerate hate. Our tears fertilize the growth of a new beginning, the roots of this community, and a community that will grow in love. We are the future, and we will not forget. We are Buffalo, and we are strong.
Elena Littleton. I'm a senior at Emerson, and I have a letter. Dear family and friends of our community, we are still hurting from the horrific event that happened on May 14th, 2022. This changed our lives forever. One thing that we have gotten from this tragedy is how precious life is and how easily someone can steal it. We sadly now realize the preciousness of life, and that causes fear. We grieve with you as you grieve the loss of mothers, fathers, aunts, uncles, brothers, sisters, family, and friends. We feel your pain as you are trying to heal your broken hearts. You feel our pain as we have lost our friend, grandmother figure, mother figure, and teacher we had in Miss Young. We want you to know that we're going through this together. We're with you. We're trying to heal as a school, and we know you're trying to heal as a community. Our junior at Emerson School of Hospitality, Leighton Palmer, who currently works at Tops on Jefferson, wrote that though the tragedy was terrible, I never let go of my aspirations of producing music. Music is a therapy. Eventually, Leighton wants to tell stories or help create stories that motivate people to be the best versions of themselves. It's not easy getting through this, but our school is really trying. Leighton also wrote, people will try to knock us down, but like glue, the Black community has held it together. As students, we are open to more brave conversations about race and how to make things better. What can we do as students to talk about why this is happening and what we can do to make things better? We don't want this to happen ever again. This event was tragic and has changed our community forever. It's changed how we think and behave. This tragedy brought out fear and a sense of not being safe anywhere we go in public. This will take a long time for us to let our guard down in public places, and we can imagine that this will be a huge challenge for you too. At school, we have addressed healing. Last year, we remembered the victims with a moment of silence. Last year, we created a memory board for Miss Young. And we took many days to grieve, share, and have conversations. This year, we will remember all the victims with a moment of silence. We will have a poem read by Jillian Hainsworth, the Buffalo poet laureate. We're going to share memories about Miss Young. We'll be wearing pearls this week, and we'll be baking special cookies in her memory. Also, we're going to unveil a plaque with a picture of Miss Young to celebrate and remember her life. And many of those who lost their lives on May 14th, from the poet Jillian Hainsworth, let the beauty of the unknown offer comfort and hope. Within water, there will always be life. Sincerely, the Emerson School of Hospitality students and staff.
Thank you for those powerful letters. Earlier today, we began to fill this paper with messages of hope, sadness, frustration, grief, and thoughts about healing. It always helps me to draw or write down my thoughts and feelings. Now we invite all of the 9th through 12th graders here in the studio to add their own words. Let's welcome back the drummers and dancers from Ade Jimbe Fola City Honor School.
want to thank you all for joining us today. Be well and have a wonderful day.